We're today on Youngun's account where we'll be showing off a takeover in regards to dungeons. So on this account we were actually struggling quite a bit when it comes to dungeons. We actually didn't have Ice Golems, Spiders nor Fire Knights cleared past stage 21, and then on Dragons we did have all the stages cleared, but the runtime on stage 24 and 25 were 7 and 4 minutes. So we weren't satisfied with those runtimes, so we just decided let's make them quite a bit quicker. So I'm just gonna show you the runs of each of the 4 dungeons here, basically on 5 times speed so you don't waste your time, and then I'll show you why they work, what's the idea behind the team, and all the builds. Perhaps you can copy them or just go off of them when you're building your own teams. Here we go. So, when it comes to Ice Golems, the idea is to just blast our way through the waves with Poison Explosion done by Elenario, and then on the boss, the actual reason why we can do this really quickly is gonna be Beck. He's gonna be the real hero of this comp, if you can say it like that. Basically, we'll have just a bit of poisons here from our friendly Calvolax, who places 4 poisons from his passive, and then everybody else is going to just die quickly, which is exactly what we want them to do. We do not want them to survive a lot longer than they have to, and then once Beck is the only one alive, which will happen eventually, we just go through it really quickly. He does have quite a bit of resistance, if I can say so myself, but actually the damage that's gonna be done here is not from his damage on A1, it's gonna be all through the poisons. And you can actually improve this build even further. We're actually getting really unlucky here, if I can say so myself, because we only have 1 refresh accessory on him, and I would really love if we could have had more, but sadly we don't. If we did have more refresh accessories on him, he would have gotten his poisons back even quicker, because there's a chance his skills wouldn't go on cooldown at all. So that's basically Ice Golems. I'm gonna go through Spider because we actually did build different teams for stage 24 and 25. So I'll just really quickly go into our lovely presets here, choose our Spider 24 team, and show you a run. This team is also very quick. You'll see a lot of people dying here, which is actually what we don't mind happening. All the damage is gonna be done through actually the CCS A3 here, and then we only have to wait, right, and get back all the skills we need. The HP burn is gonna do all that we need when it comes to damage, and then it's all just about the spiderlings killing the main spider here. So the run is really quick and really clean. We actually did about 100 runs, I believe, just to make sure it's 100% win rate, and we actually haven't failed once, so that's lovely to see. And then we do have stage 25 spider. I was actually theory crafting quite a bit of different teams here, and then we landed on this one, which is perhaps not the quickest, but it definitely is 100% run, which is exactly what we want here, right? Because we do not want to be failing when it comes to spider. Even though my client is going to be farming stage 24 and not 25, I still didn't want to see him fail just a bunch of times here. He's gonna be farming 24 because of the energy cost. There is 2 energy less than when it comes to stage 25, and you basically get really similar drop rates when it comes to gear. So as I said, it's not the fastest for sure. There's definitely faster stage 25 teams, but the champions we had here, and in regards to it being 100% win rate, we went for this one. Perhaps we got something nice here. Actually decided to bug out fully just as I was getting into the dragon dungeon. So I'm just gonna go through this again. we have actually one team to rule them all when it comes to dragon, so we basically have the same team that we'll be using on both stage 24 and stage 25. The idea here is, although the heroes of the comp will be different. So basically on this stage, the main hero, when it comes to the boss itself, is definitely going to be Frozen Banshee, who's the positive affinity here. So she'll be dealing the most amount of damage when it comes to the boss, at least. Obviously for the waves, the hero is obviously gonna be Seer. Seer is just very unique, and as I assume all of you already know, she's the only one who has the skill set she has. So basically the fact that nobody else can just clear off all the buffs and deal max damage from it is just really weird, given how long this game has been here. But that's actually a really good thing as well at the same time, because it makes her so unique, right? So you're actually really stoked when you get her. I do want to say that on stage 25, given that the affinity is going to be different, the actual hero of the stage will be Beck. Beck will be dealing all our poisons when it comes to stage 25, and as I'll show you here really quickly, the team on stage 25 does not change even for a second. We do the same thing basically again. Shiri is gonna be hero on the waves, and she's gonna clear them really fast, given how fast the animations of everyone is. The only way I can see this team fail is actually none. I actually tested it, and we got unlucky on some runs where Lydia did not place both defense down and weaken, and Seer does not one-shot everyone. One or two wave champions stays alive, but it's fine, we just go through our usual cycle and get back to our skills that we need, and then just clear the dungeon is in just a slightly longer times. But it's fine, it's still 100% win rate, and that's basically all we want here. So we're getting really close to actually winning here. This is actually my first time seeing Kymar stay alive for this long, which is weird. I'm not sure how he's not getting killed here much earlier, but it's fine. It will just speed up the runs because of the reset he has. And basically once the dragon takes his next turn, I believe we should be over with the run on stage 25. Or actually not, we're gonna just need a bit more poisons from our friendly Beck here. And then for the last dungeon, we actually tried to go for the poison explosion theme when it comes to Fire Knight. Sadly, it just didn't happen, so we went for something a tad bit different that still works really nicely, if you ask me. So let me just show you the run real quickly here. The run times are not as fast on as opposed to the other dungeons we shown here, but on stage 25 when it comes to dragon, I truly think that 1 minute 40, 1 minute 50 is not bad at all. Given of course based on your gear and perhaps based on your champions, you could obviously do the runs faster. That's definitely a possibility, given that we know that the fastest runtime on stage 25 Fire Knight is, I believe, just over 40 seconds. So you could definitely do a faster run here with a different comp, but given the gear and the champions we had here, this was the fastest thing we could have gone for. And again, it's 100% win rate, and that's not something you can really say no to. Doesn't matter if it's 1 minute or 2 minutes, as long as it's 100%, I'm gonna say that's the thing you go for. This is like general dungeon advice. I get asked many times by clients, or when I do coachings, or even just in general on our Discord server. Okay, so basically I'm like running Dragon 24, it's kind of fast, it's around 2 minutes, but it's not 100%. Should I run it? And no, you shouldn't, because if it's not 100%, let's say it's 95, okay, that's not bad, but let's say it's like 60% win rate. what are you gaining actually? Like, what are you getting from it? You're losing 40% of the time, you're wasting energy. So even though you are perhaps getting a bit better drop rates than you would get on Dragon 20, let's say, it doesn't matter. You're still losing 40% of the time. So I always advise, even if it's a bit longer, but 100% win rate, that's definitely better than having faster runs that are not 100%. So, after showing all the 4 dungeons here, I'll go straight into all the champions we have. So, for multiple, actually, we do use a back here. Let me just find him really quickly. So, this is the back we built, and this is the back we're using basically to solo the Ice Golem boss. I would love if we could have gotten just a bit more HP, but it's fine. The speed can actually be much lower. I actually did my research here, and I checked many other YouTube videos in regards to back, and I saw people actually have him at as low as 220 speed, all the way up to like 240, 250. So even at 220, given that it's 100% win rate, of course, he does work. You do want as low crit rate as possible. That's the only thing I'm gonna say here. And that's because, as we all know, Ice Golem really likes to revive his ads whenever you actually cross a threshold of his HP through direct damage. So basically damage done from HP burn or poison does not count to that, as we could have seen in the run. So basically, just if you like proc enough damage off of a hit, a direct hit, he will revive his ads. We actually win even then, so it's okay, but you do not want that to be happening if you can avoid it. So as low as possible crit rate and crit damage. Sadly, we could not find better gear here to lower the crit damage even further. The only thing I'm gonna say is 100% needed is definitely above 300 resistance for sure, and around 220 accuracy. If this could be like 230 to 40 accuracy, that would be even better. But I actually believe we glyphed basically everything that could have been glyphed here, apart from obviously speed, attack percent, which we do not need, and then actually resistance is also glyphed. So you could get away with like 300 resistance, given what the accuracy of the boss is and the ads. So you could get away with it, right? And the only other way I would advise to make this build better is get more refresh accessories, of course, if you do have them. Sadly, on this account we don't, so this is the only one we could have gone with. It's 4-star, but it's fine. So we could have gone for refresh here and here again, and then have 15% chance to prevent skill cooldown, which would definitely get him his poisons back quicker, which would be lovely. And actually on multiple runs I've done, he was actually getting refreshed a lot, so there were definitely some faster runs. Now in the same comp we actually have Elenario, who I'm just gonna show you real quickly. We do not have any accessories on her, you do not need it. You don't even need a speed as high as this. You do not need crit rate, crit damage, it's all fine. She will do damage exclusively through her combust skill, which basically deals damage from all poison debuffs on all enemies instantly, which is why we're clearing the waves so fast. You do want at least 9 or 10 poison debuffs on all of the wave enemies, because otherwise there's a chance she does not one-shot everybody, and that could be a small problem. So there's definitely some tweaks you do need to do for this to be 100% win rate. So just make sure to actually watch the runs once you actually build this comp for yourself, and make sure to be checking, okay, so even if like one poison doesn't get placed, or I get resisted, or perhaps something out of the ordinary happens, that she keeps one-shotting everyone. So basically just like watch for the worst RNG, and when it happens check, okay, so she one-shot everyone, which means that even if I get the worst RNG of the run, I still win, because that's the only thing you do want. Then we have our friendly Calvalex here. Basically what you want is just for him to be faster than Elenario. Everything else here is basically set for other things we'll be using him for, so not exclusively for the Ice Golem. And then you do want 220 plus accuracy on him. You can basically neglect all other stats, right? As long as his speed is higher than Elenario's, and then he has enough accuracy to actually not get resisted, you're good to go. Then we have our friendly Taurus, who is actually level 50, because you do not need too many things on him. Again, I'm sorry, this is the wrong Taurus apparently. Is he level 60? Oh yeah, he's level 60, my bad. So, we went definitely overboard when it comes to accuracy, but it's fine. Again, as I said, you do not need any of the other stats you're seeing here. Actually, if you have even lower HP, he's just gonna die even quicker on the actual boss part of the fight. So that's completely good, and that's a great thing to have. You again just want more speed than Elenario has, so he can actually place the poisons before she goes. The idea of having Beck here is also the fact that through his passive, I'll show you really quickly here before we go to our man Kaimar. Let me just find our Beck here real quickly. So the idea with Beck is he has this passive, right? So basically all allies inflict 20% more damage against targets under poison debuffs, which is why he pairs with Elenario so nicely. Again, when it comes to masteries, you do not need any masteries, hence why I'm not showing you this. I was gonna skip over masteries for this team fully. I just want you to know you do not need any masteries. The fact we have them is like a nice to have thing, but you do not need them. Our man here actually really likes to build all his champions, which is awesome, and he has a really great roster. But for these same runs, you do not need any of these masteries, right? I'm actually just trying to see if basically everybody here does have them, and I actually think they do. But as I said, yeah, you do not need any of these masteries. You'll be doing the same thing just like you saw on the runs. What I do advise is obviously booking this skill on Taurus. Without it, he has only 80% chance of placing the poisons, which is no good. And then you do not really need the cooldown, given that the Kaimar is gonna reset it all anyway. So just get him to 100% when it comes to books. I do wanna show you the Kaimar we build that we're basically using everywhere. It's a shield set for the seer runs. Kaimar, and then he just needed basically enough speed to be fast enough in each of our comps for them to work. Anything else is again a nice thing to have on him, but you do not need it. The masteries are not needed. He is booked here, but he does not have to be. He actually has another copy which we'll be using really quickly in the next video for the 3v3 arena. So when it comes to our dragon runs, we do have a little bit different comp. So basically I'm not gonna show you the Kaimar obviously and the Battle Khazar again. We do have Lydia, who will be getting a small rework when it comes to the 3v3 arena, because we will want her to survive a bit more, so I'm gonna take away a bit of other stats just to get her more HP. But basically again, you do not need masteries, right? We do have them because we will use her in 3v3 arena. She's obviously booked as well, as I'm gonna show you here real quickly. But again, you do not need those masteries for this comp to work. You just need enough speed for her to be faster than Seer, and then enough accuracy. This is completely overboard if we would have been just talking about accuracy needed for stage 24 or 25. You do not need this kind of accuracy. You need 220 plus. That's all. The only reason she has this much is because she was built for 3v3 arena. Then we have our frozen Banshee, who I'm gonna show to you real quickly here. I would advise actually giving her masteries, and given that you probably have built her like a long time ago for clan boss, she most likely already has them. And you do want her in a lifesteal set for dragons, so she can heal back up when everybody else dies, and she can basically then just solo the boss by herself, right? So you can go away from the support tree if you have enough accuracy on her without it, and if you can reach the speeds we need. Basically, again, the speed we need is, I want to say, about 206 plus for her to be taking at least once a double turn, so she can actually heal back up quicker. You do not need crit rate, you do not need crit damage, you do need, again, I'm not gonna keep saying 220 plus because it kinda just prolongs the explanations and not needed at all. So basically, whenever we need accuracy for stages 24-25, it's 220 plus. I would have loved if I could have gotten more HP under her, but actually, as I said, we tested all these comms 100 times each, basically. Almost 100 times, I'm not gonna exclusively say 100 times, but they did not lose once. And then we obviously have our Seer, who's built in Savage set. Savage set is again a really great thing to have on her. I do advise going into Savage with, again, 100% crit rate. Now, I actually do wanna put a disclaimer here, because I actually see people saying many times that if you have a crit rate increase buff, that you do not need 100% crit rate on her, and that's 100% factually wrong. You do not want to listen to those people. That's definitely not the case, because she actually eats the buffs before she attacks, right? So even if you have 30% increase of crit rate through a buff placed by whoever on your team, you would have thought, okay, I can build her with 70%, right? Wrong. No, you cannot. You need 100% crit rate on her all the time, because she will first eat up all the buffs on both your team and the enemies if she has enough accuracy, and only then she will actually deal damage. So that means that she will accumulate all buffs and then actually deal damage with only 70% crit rate, which means 30% of the time she will not be critting. And if she's not critting 100% of the time, you cannot predict the RNG of the run, which means you will be losing fights if the bad RNG strikes. Because even though 30% maybe, and I'm not sure to who, does not sound like a lot, it definitely is. Because it's not just like in addition to something else, right? It's gonna be 30% chance not to crit all the time. So you do want 100% on her. I would advise going with these masteries here, although you could completely go to the flawless execution if you need it, obviously. I just like going for Hand Smasher when it comes to Doom Tower waves. So don't just put big quotations here saying Mr.Wednesday said this is the only masteries you can use on Seer. No, it's not. It's definitely based on your gear and where you are planning to use her. But I would advise these masteries for these kind of builds. Now, when it comes to Spider, I'll just go from the rares up. We have 2 cold hearts in our Spider 24 team. Again, 70% crit rate is not enough. Why? I'm sorry, I meant 70% crit rate is actually enough here. My bad. I'm just gonna put a big blooper about this. So 70% crit rate here is just enough, because we're actually just counting on them using the Heartseeker. We do not care about other skills. This is the only skill we need, and she gets an extra 30% crit rate here when attacking, before she attacks, which is the most important part. Which means, as long as you have 70 crit rate plus, she'll be critting all the time. You do not need crit damage as high as this one. I actually saw some numbers which said you need only 157 crit damage. That's actually too low. I would advise going with a bit higher crit damage, just so you deal enough, so to say, because as we know, there is a 10% limit when it comes to damage done by max HP skills on all the stages about 21. Again, accuracy as mentioned, speed is fine, you can even go lower than this. You do not need 181, you could go 170 if you want. What you don't want happening is your Keimer double lapping your Cold Heart, which means Keimer will be the fastest in this comp, right? And he will not use his reset skill straight away, because he will want to wait for everybody else to do their thing, then he resets, okay? Which means you do need to have enough speed on Cold Heart, so she actually goes before Keimer goes the second time. Now, I cannot tell you here how much speed that is, because it's definitely based on how fast your Keimer is. So that's something you need to figure out for yourself. You'll need to test it. But I'm gonna say around 175 at least. So these are basically the builds for both of our Cold Hearts. As you'll see, we actually have almost 100% crit rate here. I believe my client has been using his Cold Heart somewhere else as well. I assume Fire Knight? I'm not really sure, so I'm not gonna elaborate further on there, because you can definitely use her there, right? And then again, in our spider dungeon, we also have our friendly Mordecai. Again, we just want a lot of speed. I did some testing and I advise at least 235 or faster if you're trying to go for the same comp we're going for here. If you're not, you can again test and see. I cannot just say, oh yeah, 235 is the minimum you need. For you it could work at 220, because I don't know your other champions, right? So this is basically just me explaining why it works here, not how it would work for you. So you do need to do some tests, again, as I keep mentioning, because you do want to check, okay, so on the worst RNG run, did I win? And if I did, perfect, we can go from there. That means you're not gonna be failing. That's what you want when it comes to using your energy, right? And then again, we do have a champion I'm truly jealous of. I do really want her on my account, and sadly I was still unlucky enough to not get her. I actually believe there was even like a 10x or 2x or something on her, and I just didn't pull my shards back then. I believe I wasn't able to or something. I cannot remember, but I do remember I really wanted her and did not get her. So Cisia is amazing. Cisia is truly an amazing champion when it comes to Spider. I'm sure you can use her elsewhere as well. Now the reason she's awesome, and I'm gonna explain two things here. So basically on our 24 runs, we just have her do A2, which deals all damage, as you can see, then instantly activates HP burn debuffs on each target and decreases the duration of those HP burn debuffs by 1 turn, which means she'll be dealing 1 HP burn worth of damage for each of the spiderlings and the main spider, which is why our stage 24 runs are so fast. And that's exactly what you want and what you need here. But on the stage 25, where we do not have Mordecai, we actually tell her to go for A3 first, which means she will place HP burn debuff on herself and then has a 100% chance of placing HP burn on all enemies. Now the problem here is, even though it says 100% here, as we all know, but perhaps somebody doesn't, so I'm gonna explain, in this game, even when something says 100% chance, there's always 3% chance for you to get resisted, right? Based on the bad RNG. So, unless a skill specifically says cannot be resisted, which means it will 100% happen, you do need to make sure to basically think about the 3% and do something about it, which is why we do have Mordecai for stage 24, because I do not want any HP burns not to be placed. On 25 we do have the privilege of risking it a bit, even though it's not a risk, because we do have Unkillable and the shields. So it's definitely not gonna happen there, and we're not gonna die even if she doesn't get an extra turn here. But if she does, then she instantly activates everything on her A2, which deals all the damage at once. Hence why she's just so amazing when it comes to the spider. I actually watched many videos about her being used in arena, and even though I do think she deals quite a bit of damage, I do not advise you to use her as your main nuker, because you'll have to rely on basically never getting a weak hit for her to get another turn, because if she doesn't get another turn, this skill does not do enough damage for you to actually win the arena fight. So I would just basically put her aside when it comes to arena if you're not trying to go for like a funny comp or something really interesting that you're thinking of for yourself. So if you just want a nuker for arena, she's definitely not the girl you want to use. Now when it comes to, well, actually that explains Spider, that explains Dragon, Ice Golem. We need Fire Knight now, right? So for the Fire Knight, we have actually already seen the seer we're using. So I'm just gonna real quickly show you the V6 and Allure. Let me just find Allure really quickly. So she's a great affinity for stage 25, which means you could actually build her with a bit less crit rate. As you can see here, we do not have 100%. We could have actually gotten away with 85, but sadly, given the speeds I wanted to reach here, so that the Fire Knight never gets a turn, we could not do that sadly with the gear we had. So this is the speed we reached. I do advise at least 245 plus, based on some calculations I did myself, for this specific comp. I'm not saying for all comps. I'm sure there's comps where you can run Allure slower. I know there's comps where you need Allure at like 270 speed, so I'm just speaking about this team, not any team with Allure for Fire Knight 25. And then I'll just quickly show you the V6, who is in Relentless gear, because I do want her to proc as many chances at turns as she can. Again, accuracy on all these champions is the same as for all other stage 24-25 teams. 100% crit rate here is not needed, it's not what you need. It's just a nice to have thing, so to say, which we did get away with given the gear we had. And then again, I did some calculations, and with this same team you do want her at about 203 speed at least. Having all of that explained, that's actually gonna bring this video to the end. I really hope you enjoyed it and perhaps learned something new. Oh, one more thing to mention. We do have on all our champions, I'm gonna show you really quickly when it comes to Fire Knight team. I do know I wanted to explain something about Masteries for one of these teams. So as you can see, we have Evil Eye on all of our champions, because we do want to decrease the turn meter further with A1 hits, which actually happens in a run 3 times. If you want, you can go back and check yourself. It will happen on 3 different champions, including V6, including Allure, and then Lydia. So that's definitely something you want to keep in mind. The Evil Eye will not decrease the turn meter by a lot, but it definitely helps a bit when it comes to keeping the turn meter of the Fire Knight attacked. So with all of that explained, now we'll get the video to the end here. I do not want it to be prolonged any further than it needs to be. Keep in mind these are quite end game type of teams, so perhaps not for everybody, but just for that reason I'll have multiple different dungeons for multiple of different level of accounts. Again, when you like check Great Hall here, this Great Hall is not like super end game, right? But I'm sure it's more developed than many of other people's Great Halls. So I do not want you to feel like, okay, I cannot do this stage or something because, okay, I do not have this Great Hall or I do not have this gear. So I will be coming out with multiple different type of accounts with different Great Halls, with different gears and with different champions. So there's something for everyone. With all of that in mind, I truly hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, perhaps like and subscribe for more content like this. And till the next time we see each other, Mr. Wednesday, signing out.